by 2000 BC, we have civilizations, cities, written languages in various places, all of these different aspects of the civilized world in the Mediterranean. So for us here tonight, we're going to be talking about one of the two corners of the Mediterranean world beginning around 2000 BC. So up in the northeast corner is Greece, which we will turn to next week. And then down in the southeastern corner, way down in that little corner, is ancient Israel. If we look at our map, could just look at the Greek map for next week and think about it. Emily, you can sit right down there, back there with those people who are all by the door. And if we look at our Greek map, we can look forward to next week and to the story of the Greek mainland, the Greek islands. And then tonight, we're going to turn to the other great story, to ancient Israel. So those are our stories here. So we've already had a little introduction to the School of Athens in the papal apartments and Genesis on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. And now we are moving into the map and the international world and looking at the two places that matter. And so here we are first looking at ancient Israel. The names will change depending on what year you choose to have your map. So if we go way back to 2000 BC, there'll be names on here that'll be names from Abraham and the patriarchs. If choose this map, you'll already have some names on the map that would be important for telling the story of Jesus. So Nazareth is shown on the map. Way up at the top is the Lake of Galilee, the Sea of Galilee. And that's nice to know about. That helps you understand where things are. So you notice on the map way up at the north there, Sea of Galilee, and then the Golan Heights just to the east of it. So that just helps you understand where everything is. And then, of course, further south is Jerusalem. We're starting as far back as 3000 BC just because, and this is our chronology, this chronology is on the website. So if you see this tonight and you don't ever remember printing it, go get it. It's right there, the chronology for Israel. We're starting at 3000 BC just because it's nice to realize that there are many ancient civilizations flourishing in 3000 BC. So the emergence of the Israelites, the emergence of the story of the Israelites, the emergence of the story of Abraham, all of that takes place 1,000 years or more later than many flourishing civilizations. So we have the Sumerian civilization over in Iraq, that's one. We have the Minoans in various locations in Greece, and we have the Egyptians. So there would be three major civilizations already flourishing in the eastern part of the Mediterranean. Minoans on the north, Egyptians on the south, and the Sumerians slightly to the east. And so you can see 3000 BC. As you can see on our chronology, it says invention of writing. That means a special kind of writing. And so let's just stop right here and realize that in order for us to talk about writing, and we care about that here tonight, there are two steps, really. The first one is the creation of writing of little pictures. So whether it's the Sumerians or the ancient Minoans or the Egyptians, they all are doing a similar thing as they're creating little tiny signs in a huge number, thousands. So each little sign stands for a whole series of individual thoughts, actions, any number of things. And so therefore they're very difficult to learn. They require a huge amount of time for a tiny little elite to learn. And then that little elite, usually a priestly elite, are the only ones who can write. So on our chronology here, 3000 BC, yes, we've written in there invention of writing, but remember, it's not alphabetic writing. So just keep that in your mind right this minute. Cuneiform means a little shape like the object they used to form some of the letters, but it could be pictographic in Egypt, little hieroglyphs, or it could be Minoan. All three are the same kind of thing. That is very complex, but like Chinese writing, very complex, and many, many, many figures, many figures that you have to learn if you're going to be able to write. Okay, and alphabetic writing is completely different, and it's going to be almost 2,000 years before alphabetic writing is available to the Eastern Mediterranean. Okay, so Abraham is where we start. And And we're going to use part 2 to talk about one of the great themes in Western art, which is Abraham and Isaac. So here now in part 1, when we start our story, we're starting it with Abraham. And it's right and a good thing that we do because, of course, the story of the Jews starts with Abraham. And it starts with him coming out of the land of Ur. That means Assyria, Sumeria, the area of present-day Iraq, and coming back into Israel. Now, the story of Abraham is so important because it raises the issue of many gods versus one God. This is the most important separation of different cultures in the ancient world, are those who worship many gods and those who worship just one God. And in the story from 3000 BC down to 0 and then 0 to 1200, in any case, this journey from 1800 BC or so is Abraham's journey out of the Middle Eastern lands of present-day Iraq and to Israel, and the choice of one God, his God, the God that calls him, and leaving the many gods. Now, this is one of the most important changes in all of human history. One of the single most important changes in all of human history. The relationship of the human being to one God is completely different than the relationship of the human being to many gods. Now, remember, the Greeks have many gods. And so the Greeks are going to have 100 gods or so that you'll have to worry about. Whatever they're thinking or doing, or however they're changing on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, or maybe you're on their day and not on the other day, and maybe you step on the crack in the pavement and that's their pavement, so you get in trouble. So dealing with many gods is complicated for human beings, and human beings are mostly frightened when they live in a world of many gods. And so the journey away from the many gods of the Middle East to the single God, Yahweh, of the ancient Jews is one of the most important moves that human beings ever take. And we take it in the West because of Abraham. We take it in the West because of Abraham and his journey out of the land of Ur. And here, lower in our chronology, we have a date about Israelites arriving in Egypt. We don't know exactly when they arrive in Egypt. It's all speculative because we don't have archaeological documentation. But here on the screen is one great work of art that we'll come back to later tonight about Abraham and Isaac and God and Sarah. So here's their story and the story that we're talking about. That is the special relationship of Abraham with his God.